It is with great admiration that we introduce Mr. Amitabh Pande, the esteemed director of the National Museum of Mankind, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya, Bhopal, under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. His visionary leadership is currently focused on developing a unique living museum, a pioneering efforts in Asia and the world dedicated to showcasing and preserving intangible heritage and cultural knowledge. With 29 years of distinguished experience in environment anthropology and cultural conservation, he is recognized expert in public policy, sustainable development, and climate change adaptation. His academic credentials are equally impressive, holding a doctorate in environment anthropology and public policy from Hyderabad University and a background in physics from Allahabad University. Mr. Pande's profound dedication and expertise not only enhances our understanding of culture and environmental issues, but also inspires us all to appreciate and protect our shared heritage. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Amitabh Pande.
Most welcome, sir. Whole stage is yours. You are heartily welcome. We people from different parts of the world join to listen from you about the topic which you'll be speaking today. Thank you very much, sir. And this program, United Consciousness International Day of Peace, is being telecasted and will be seen by people for around 100 countries of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and the
Professor.
topic of your talk is you mention and then you speak will be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vikrant, for that wonderful introduction. Just few hiccups was there, and the topic which was given to me was environmental justice and spiritual responsibility, healing the earth as a sacred duty. Basically, when whole human civilization was working, so they interfaces with the nature, and they had a respectful attitude toward nature. If you see the communities which are indigenous, they have a totems, taboos, where they didn't try to harm the nature, or they interacted with the nature in a such a way that it seeked permission from the nature to use it. So there was a practice when in time long, when we started living as a homo sapiens on this earth, we had a practice of dealing with it. With the gradual development process and the modern changes, somehow this some practices have waned away, and that's where the environmental justice came into it. Are we doing justice with the nature where we are living it, or we are trying to harm it? As I can say, it's when you see the nature has been always kind and giving everyone a lot of whatever the human desires. So there is abundance of which you can take it from the nature, but then again it has a limit. So whenever the limit is crossed, the environmental injustice happen. Best example is the way we have exploited the forest. Forest was in such a nature that we were able to meet our needs, but then urbanization and other things are there. When I worked with the communities, I've been working with communities across India in all the provinces, where I find they have a very beautiful practice of conserving nature through worships, and even keeping a forest as a sacred, what we call as sacred groves. So all the elements which is required is conserved in those grooves, and there is a very systematic approach of engaging into it. Similarly, there is a mythologies which are associated with the nature, and how do you respect it. So basically, the spiritualities of the environment and nature has existed in human. In Indian context, Himalaya becomes a abode of God, where we all go try to seek spiritual solutions to it. Again, ocean becomes a place where we go it. So the forest becomes a place where we go it. So the environment has been always there, which does it. When it comes to environmental justice debate, which is happening across the world, there are two views I can put it. The Western view sees as a very right-based approach, where you are seeking with the inequalities and other things. In case of the Oriental approach, it is very different. You see the environment which is now, if my river is being lost, my spiritual element is lost. In Indian, all the rivers are worshipped, and all rivers are a place where we find several cultural engagements, starting from birth, your rites de passage, your death ceremony, all are connected with the nature in Indian context. So there becomes a question of environmental justice different. If you're uh, this elements of environment, if nature, if they're lost, then you have a issue of how your spirituality can be taken up, because we have a river within the central India called Narmada river, and then there is a practice of taking a round of the river, starting from the origin, going to the sea, crossing over it, and going back to, and that's where seen as something spirituality, where we want to worship the nature in that way. So those things are practice which already exist in nature, but once this river dries out because of some element of deforestation, the whole belief system is impacted, and the human spirituality is hurt there. So that's become a very important. Recently, in one, 2, 3 years back, that river dried in a portion of it, and that is considered to be a perennial river. That's why this whole parikrama, way they call it, taking a circle of the river, that was sometimes it hurts people, that the continuity of river is lost. So when you talk about environmental justice, the justice is that whatever the nature has given, whatever the community is trying to do it, there has to be in natural form, where my emotions and my spiritual connect are there. Similarly, with the sacred groves, which I have worked across India, they are the 1,000 acres or 1,000 hectares of forest to a small forest. If you saw Kerala, there is a forest which conserves snakes. So it is a place where the snakes are worshipped, and snakes are kept there. So their grooves is important, and they say they worship the snake. And recently there is a festival which happens in month of September in Kerala, that is Onam, where it's an integrated activity. They worship the deity, they worship the sea, they worship the sacred grove. So that interconnected in environmental becomes very important. And when you have a loss, that spirituality is impacted. So we need to be taking care of health. We need to be taking care of the environmental health, so that this human solace which they get from the nature is continued, and the healthy environment also gives a healthy spiritual to the communities and to the human being which is connected. I have a exhibition happening at my place where hundred of healers have come from that. Uh, Around 18 province of India, and they are displaying their herbal species which they have collected, and that acts as a health solving problem. Now, if these species are lost, they have a religious connect, they have a health connect with these species. So, in community, healing is very not only the disease; it is the mind also. So, in the communities in India, you treat the whole body. It is arogya, making your body free from diseases, so all kind of mental and health diseases. So these communities, when they bring these elements, and we were discussing with them, we found that it's so intricately connected with each element of nature. So I can say they have around 15 to 20 species which they have got from the forest, and they are using it for the various element, maybe their treatment, maybe mental happiness, maybe rituals. So that becomes a very crucial element. We need to keep our healthy forests, we need to keep our healthy rivers, we need to keep our mountains healthy, so that this whole environment and spirituality helps us in dealing it. The causes which now climate change is giving to the Himalayan region, which was called a Devbhumi, sometimes is create a disaster and fear among them. So there has to be interventions where we need to solve these problems and try to bring back the nature to in such a way that whatever we have been dependent on it helps us. So very briefly I tried to share with you. And Vikrant, if there are some questions I can take on, or you want some other elements, I'll add up to it. Dr. Vikrant, can I come up?
Sir, namaste. I think What you mentioned was very important. And as you rightly said, that we used to take permission from nature before using the nature. And when in turn we stopped doing it, then this whole concept of environmental justice became important. Thank you for invoking that thought that forests are sacred. And you also mentioned about Narmada Parikrama. And we will be very happy that if some of those healers which you mentioned are there, which who have displayed their practices in your organization from 18 provinces of the country, if they also come to Ujjain on 14th, 15th, and 16th of February, so that whole world can be benefited, it will be really great. You also mentioned what arogya is: freedom from all the diseases. When body is free from diseases and we become a part of the nature, then the peace prevails all the places. We are deeply in gratitude, sir, that you took out time for us. And I'm sure the message connected with nature which you gave will reach to all our audience, and people will be more sensitive towards nature, its conservation, protection, and its development. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Mr. Amitabh Pande for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.